Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings, everyone. My name is Rizky Permatasari from the State Finance Polytechnic of Stan. In this occasion, I would like to tell you guys a story about our Prophet Ayub alayhi salam. Peace be upon him. Ayub was a prophet who was immensely blessed by Allah. He was strong and healthy, had large plots of land, an abundant livestock, and a righteous and beautiful family. He was also a community leader who was highly respected and loved by his people. Despite his status and wealth, Ayub was never arrogant. He was always humble, he readily helped the deprived, and constantly thanked and glorified Allah for everything that he has been blessed with. Seeing that there is such human with a lot of faith and worships Allah with such compassion, Satan, who is in the vicinity, became very angry. He immediately began plotting to lure Ayub away from his worships of Allah. He whispered evil thoughts to Ayub about the many pleasures in life that a man such as Ayub could easily enjoy. But the Prophet was a sincere servant of Allah and was not easily faltered. This enraged Satan further. Satan then approached Allah and informed him that Ayub was not a sincere servant of him, and he was only glorifying him in fear of losing all of his wealth. Satan suggested, if you remove his wealth, then you will find that his tongue will no longer mention your name and the praying will stop. Allah, the All-Knowing, did not believe Satan, for he knew that Ayub was among his most sincere believers and did not worship his Lord for mere material possessions. But he agreed to test Ayub to show Satan the absolute sincerity of his loyal servant. Overjoyed, Satan set out to destroy Prophet Ayub's wealth. As time passed, Prophet Ayub's wealth began to diminish. His land, his livestock, his servants, and money all evaded him until he was left with nothing. Immensely satisfied with Ayub's ordeal, Satan, disguised as a wise old man, approached the Prophet and said, all your wealth is lost. Some people say that it is because you waste too much money on charity and you waste so much time in worshipping Allah. Some people say that Allah has brought this to you too in order to please your enemies. If Allah had the capacity to prevent harm, He would have had protected your wealth. Ayub then replied, Allah gives whom He wills, and Allah takes from whom He wills. And all of the wealth that I have belongs to Allah. So He has every authority to take it back, because Allah owns everything I own. Ayub then turned around and praising Allah again. Feeling rather frustrated, Satan returned to Allah and made more deal to test Ayub even more. Allah still knew that Ayub's faith and love for his role will not waver, but he agreed to test Ayub even further. After all the things happened to him, Ayub always responded, Allah gives me what is good for me and takes away what Allah sees that is displeasing for him and for me. Allah sees that all of these children may be a strong test for me, so Allah took them away from me. Whether a thing is beneficial or harmful for me, I will remain firm in my belief and remain thankful to my Creator. Soon after, Ayub's health began to deteriorate. He was so ill that the skin of his body used to fall off, revealing his muscles and bone. But as Allah instructed, the only two organs that functioned were his body and his tongue, which is continued to use to glorify Allah. Ayub suffered through severe pain, but he never allowed himself to complain or falter his belief in Allah. For years, Ayub has continued to suffer through his condition, with no one but Rahmah by his side to take care of him. They had no money and no income, so his wife took up a job to work for him. But the people of the city cannot allow Rahmah to work for long because they feared that the illness her husband had may affect them. Nevertheless, Ayub continued to pray to Allah to give him the strength and patience to endure this pain and suffering. Feeling helpless, Ayub turned to Allah, seeking His mercy. Verily, Satan has touched me with distress and torment, he prayed. Allah immediately responded to Ayub's desperate call for help. Allah said, "Strike the ground with your foot. This is a spring water to wash in, to cool, and a refreshing drink." Ayub immediately performed Allah's bidding. As he struck the ground with his foot, cold water gushed at his feet. As commanded, Ayub drank and washed his body with the entire water. Within a short while, Ayub's blisters disappeared. His skin renewed completely, and his internal organs began working. Indeed, Ayub was completely healed by the grace of Allah. Allah then restored Ayub's wealth. Allah sent down a rain of locusts made of gold that fell all around Ayub. When Ayub began gathering the gold locusts, Allah asked him, "O Ayub, have I not made you too rich to need what you see?" Ayub then replied, "Yes, my Lord, but I cannot shun your blessings." Ayub and Rahma were also given back their family. The couple were blessed with 28 beautiful, healthy children, 14 girls and 14 boys. The story of Prophet Ayub is a diversity mixed with patience. When everything his faith never faltered during difficult times, which is what makes him a remarkable being. That is it for my story. Thank you for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.